All right, good evening. We will get started and maybe a couple more people will pop on, but they could catch up. This, just as a little precursor, this is a Zoom webinar and it is being recorded. Participants had to register in order to participate. Participants are muted with the video off. I'm acting as the host and will control the public microphones. During the meeting, if you have a question, you may raise your hand when speaking. Oh no, to request to speak, if you're viewing by video, click the raise your hand button. If you're on the phone, press *9, and it is also *6 to mute and unmute on the phone. So tonight we are doing an open house for our Susquehanna blended cyber program for our elementary program, so the K-4 students. And our agenda for this evening is just introducing our program, when we got started and where we've been and where we're going, the benefits of the Susquehanna blended cyber program, our Kaola partnership, and we have Aaron Clark here, who is the online learning account manager for Kaola, and then vendor information. Jamie from Accelerate Ed, the account manager from Accelerate Education, is here to talk about Accelerate Ed. And then at the end, we will open it up for questions, anyone who has a question. So to get started, just a little bit of a background information on our program. We did start planning for our Susquehanna blended cyber program in the 2014-15 school year. We started talking with Kaola, and our plan was to start it with the middle school and high school students. In the 2015-16, it was the actual first year, official year, where our Kaola partnership started. We had students during that school year. I think we had probably about maybe 15 students the first year. And in the first year, we used vendor teachers and curriculum, which was powered by Kaola. Starting in the 17-18 school year, we did start introducing some of our own teachers teaching the curriculum provided by Kaola from the vendor. And then we also started creating our own Susquehanna courses. So we were creating courses using Canvas, and it was our curriculum taught by our teacher. So during the 17-18 school year, 18-19, and 19-20, we continued to do that. So all those 3 years, we were doing a mix of all of that, continuing to add our own courses. Last year, of course, this school year kind of changed everything with COVID, and we took a pause on creating our own courses, and we went to the remote learning program. We did have 12 students still in our cyber program because they were in the cyber program the previous year and they stayed in the program. But then any other student K-12 who was interested in working from home, either for COVID reasons or other reasons, were admitted into our remote learning program. Next year, we are not using our remote learning program. We're going to go back to SSD blended cyber program. The big change, and for families here tonight, is we are moving to K-12 program. So we will be allowing our K-4 students participate in the blended cyber program. So for the elementary students, it will be run more like our cyber program was previous years for the middle and high school. Of course, there's going to be some changes or some differences because they are younger learners. So you're not going to see, if you have an older child, it wouldn't be run exactly the same. But for the elementary students, we are going to be using Accelerate Ed as our vendor curriculum, and we're going to be using their teachers as well. So that's just a little bit about our program. And next, Dr. Laura Fink is going to talk about the benefits.
Okay, thank you. So some of the parents that I've spoken to already, one of the big questions is, so what benefits will my child have if I stay with Susquehanna as a remote learner or as a cyber student, rather than looking at an outside cyber program? So one of the things that we at Susquehanna are committed to doing is making sure that we provide quality programming for students, and we're expanding those options with this program for our elementary students, while also being very mindful of tax dollars and spending, and making sure that's a program that we can believe in and make sure that it works well for our students. It is called a blended cyber program for a reason, and that's because there are options for students to still connect with the school at Susquehanna's campus while they are a remote student or a cyber student at Susquehanna. So one of them is that they do stay enrolled at Susquehanna. So if there is an issue that comes up, you're dealing with people that you already know, that you're familiar with. So if there's an issue, you can call myself, you can call Mrs. Comp, you can call any of us, and we can certainly help and work with that, as well as the students can participate in anything that is district sponsored. For elementary kids, it looks a little different. For as you get older, there are things like the prom and graduation for our high school students, things like that, that are some of those events that the students really are excited to be able to be part of. Students that are outside cyber schools do not have that opportunity. One of the things that will happen is that these students may access services as needed through our school counselors, our school nurse, and our school library. Mrs. Gross, our librarian, is going to have a schedule. We're going to create a time that our remote students or our cyber students will be able to come in and check books out of our school library. Our elementary students really need access to quality literature on a regular basis, and we don't really have a good community. We have a library in Marysville, which is great, but it's not really that large. So we want to make sure that you have access to our library as students and families as well. So they'd be able to check out books from our library. Our students would also be able to participate in any of our PTO events. We have several family fun nights, so we're hoping to bring all of that back next year. We're going to find a way to get them connected to a classroom through field trips as well. Sometimes those field trips are one of the best parts of being an elementary student. Again, we didn't have them this year, but we're hoping to bring them back in the fall. Assemblies, as are applicable and make sense, and the students would like to come into. Things like book fairs and all those other activities. These would not be mandatory. If as a parent, if you did not want to participate, if your child doesn't want to participate in these, that's okay too. But these are ways to connect to the community, to the school, and to their friends that are in Susquehanna Elementary School. Our students could also participate in any extracurricular activities. At the elementary school, currently, we have a Girls on the Run team for third and fourth graders. They meet after school. This is something that our cyber students would be able to participate in. We also run Science Explorers, which is an outside science club, basically, that meets during the week. It's after school. One of our teachers does run that. It's for second through fourth grade. And then we have, in fourth grade, we have band and chorus. And then we have some athletic opportunities that are run through the district, such as wrestling. There's usually a basketball program every year and our field hockey program. So in addition to community sports and athletics, we do have some that are run through the district, and your children will be able to participate in those at our school. We would have district staff that is committed to working with a child that needs a individualized learning plan. So if there is a special education student, we'd be able to work with that child to make sure, and that family, to make sure that their needs are met. We also will be providing some technology, and some supplies. So district iPad, textbooks, whatever is needed, and other learning materials. We did that this year for our blended program or for our remote program. And we feel that that's important to make sure that our families get what they need to participate fully in the curriculum through Accelerate Ed. Our students will also be assigned a personal advisor through the school district. So it says there are course selections. Elementary students really don't have course selections like they would as older students, but we will have an advisor for the program that will be working with families and helping them as they are making decisions and choices, and as we have issues that come up as well. We also have a before and after school tutoring program. It's part of our title services that your child would be able to participate in if they had a need and just needed some of that extra attention. So typically that program is something that our teachers refer students to. We would have to work with the families, obviously, to figure out if there's a need there. But if your child needs some extra help in reading or math, we can partner them with a Susquehanna teacher, and they could come in either the half an hour before school or half an hour after school, and that is free of cost to our families. And then as children get older, one of the benefits to being in our remote program or our blended program is that they have the opportunity for dual enrollment. So they could be enrolled at a local university and take classes either on campus or online or at the college, depending. There's several options. They also would be able to attend Cumberland Perry. They just changed the name. I believe it's Career and Technical School or something like that. Mrs. Matash would probably know, or Mr. Smith. And they would also graduate with a Susquehanna diploma. They would stay connected to their community school, their friends, and I am looking forward to working with some of our families next year. I looked at our participants. We have some really nice families on here that are interested, and I'm looking forward to working with our families to build a quality program for our elementary students.
Thank you, Dr. Laura Fink. Next, we're going to go to Aaron Clark, and he is going to talk about our Keola partnership.
All right, thank you, Christine. Thank you, Dr. Laura Fink. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. Let me get to the right slide here. Okay. So my name is Aaron Clark, and I'm the Online Learning Account Manager for the Keola program. And Keola is administered by the Capital Area Intermediate Unit, number 15, which is right here in the Harrisburg region. Our offices are based out of Enola, so we're right down the road from Susquehanna School District. RIU actually formed the Keola program in 2009. And it was started by a group of superintendents at the time in our region that realized that their districts needed a local online learning solution. So in 2009, we formed, and we had about 200 students to start that first year, with 13 out of our 20 some odd school districts that are in our region. Fast forward 12 years later, and of course a pandemic, and we're now partnered with 12 intermediate units across Pennsylvania, totaling over 150 school districts and programs. This year, we will have educated over 40,000 students. Our programs significantly grew this school year, obviously with the restrictions of COVID and schools needing a viable online learning solution very quickly. Due to the closures around the pandemic, and we were there to provide that service to our districts and programs. So Keola, as we call it, we work directly with local school districts. So many people don't even realize that they're taking quote unquote Keola courses or courses that are provided by our curriculum providers, like we have accelerated education here tonight. We don't want students to necessarily feel like they're part of something that's outside of their school district. We want them to feel that they're just taking classes online through their school district. So your students would remain students of the Susquehanna School District. They'll eventually graduate with a diploma from the school district and can participate in all those wonderful activities that Dr. Laura Fink was just talking about. Jamie will describe the curriculum that is offered for the K-4 students here in a little bit, but I'll just touch on that. They're designed to be fun and engaging. The students, can, once they get past the 4th grade into middle and high school, have the option of choosing many courses and electives that can be designed around their academic interests. But for the elementary students, they're truly designed to keep your students engaged. Not to mention the participation of the vendor teachers to work closely with your students. I'll also mention that because Dr. Laura Fink talked a little bit about individualized education plans. If your student is an IEP student, the vendor teacher can work directly with the school district to make sure that the student's needs are being met for the online courses. So you might be asking yourself, why should I enroll my student in my district's online program? Well, the answer is always going to come down to flexibility. Online learning is not a one-size-fits-all solution, as we learned very well this school year. There are a lot of outside schools that are out there, private or public cyber charter schools, that you've probably seen commercials on TV about, and they probably would like you to think that any student could go to their school and it would work. Well, that is not true. It's not one size fits all. Sometimes online learning doesn't work for students. The problem is when you enroll in a school outside of your district, it's an all or nothing situation. The students become full-time online learners of that school and are no longer enrolled with the district. But full-time cyber might not work for your child. So I want to talk about the benefits of the flexibility of enrolling your student through Keola, through the Susquehanna Blended Cyber Program. So, not to mention that the courses are standards aligned and they can follow different learning styles, like I just talked about how we can work with students that may have an IEP or a 504 plan. But they're multimedia rich courses. They're full of games and activities and videos. It's not just words on a screen requiring a student to read. Perhaps even if they're at an early learning level, they may not even know how to read yet. Courses are a blend of asynchronous and synchronous instruction. Synchronous is when students and teachers are online at the same time, and asynchronous is where assignments and activities are posted and students work independently. So Keola offers what's called a single sign-on through what is our Genius platform. We work with several different curriculum providers, really the best in the business. But for the Susquehanna Blended Cyber Program, you'll be using Accelerate Education, but you'll log in through Genius. So what happens there is that you have one username and password that gets you access to everything that the student needs to be successful. And there's also a parent portal for the parents to log in, and they can see assignments and grades and view teacher and student communication or announcements. And of course, they're device friendly. All the courses are web-based, so you can use it on any device like PC laptops, MacBooks, iPads, tablets, that sort of thing. And then I have one more slide I wanted to show you. This is actually a snapshot of what the Genius dashboard looks like. So if you can see my mouse here, your student would log in through a login screen, and then this is where it would take them. There'd be a list of all their courses that they could click on. And once they click on this link, it would take them over to the Accelerate Education platform, which Janie's going to show you here in a minute. And then from there, they can keep working. But it also shows their grades, how many assignments they've completed, and whether they're on track or on schedule. The school district can post events here on an internal calendar within Genius. And then you can also see activities. So this portal looks almost identical for the parents, but you can see how much time was spent on different courses and activities. Down along the side, there's a number of different options too that I won't go into too much detail, but there is a grade book where you can see your students' current grades, a transcript if there's semester-based grades that they want to see, and there's different ways that you can see how active your student has been when they've been working. There's areas for messages, and then there's also a link where you can email your school. So I know I went through all of that very quickly. I hope that provided you some ample information about the partnership of Keola with the Susquehanna School District, and I'm happy to answer questions at the end of the presentation.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Next, Jamie's going to talk about the Accelerate Ed. Jamie, you are muted.
Sorry about that. So I'm Jamie Aki with Accelerate Education, and I'm their account manager. And so I'm assigned to work with Kaola. So I'm the person that works every day with Kaola and is supporting all of the districts that are members of Kaola. So it's nice to have one person kind of be that reach out contact person. But I just wanted to take some time and show you guys what Accelerate Education is, what our courses look like, so you have an idea of the look and feel when you start to get into the coursework. A little bit about us. So we were founded in 2010. We are headquartered in Anthem, Arizona. We've served over 1,000 districts and 500,000 students this year. You can see because of the pandemic, there was a pretty big jump in our enrollment this year, but we have grown substantially, which is great. We've been a trusted Kaola partner since 2012, and the curriculum is device friendly, so it will apply on your iPads or other devices that you're working with. You can see here, we have amazing completion and passing rates. So when you're using an Accelerate Education teacher, these are our rates that we had last year. So we're doing very well and successful with our students. We offer accredited courses. So our courses are accredited by a couple agencies, and then we're Common Core aligned, and our science standards are mapped to next generation standards. So that's important as you're looking at different companies that you're using for your curriculum. So elementary, you'll see courses are semester based as your students will be enrolled. So they'll have like a semester A and a semester B that they'll work through the year. Our K to 3, I'll take you into a course so you can see it too, but they have like what we call modules. And there's about 18 modules, and the students work through each module for the week, and lessons are embedded into those modules. And in grade 4, they're a little bit different, like they'll have 6 modules instead of 18, and it takes about 3 weeks for a student to work through that module. But our courses do include tutorial videos, interactive practice activities, different assessment types and learning support tools that I'll show you are available. Our instructors are highly qualified instructors. They receive ongoing professional development and working with students in the virtual environment, as it's a little bit different. And they're actively monitoring and engaging with your students. So emails, they're responding to within 24 hours. Timely grading and feedback on assignments, within 3 working days, they're grading assignments. Usually sooner than that as well. They'll host regular office hours, so you can sign up to meet with them one-on-one in a synchronous session. And they also will hold group synchronous sessions. So you could sign up once a week to go into a live group session and be online with other students as well, to get that learning community feeling, so you don't feel like you're out there, by yourself. A little bit about the curriculum and look and feel. So a little bit about ELA in K3. So our English language arts does focus around balanced literacy. So when we go into a lesson, you'll see students work through spelling, vocabulary, writing, and that's all embedded into the lessons that they'll work through on a weekly basis. A sample kind of flow that the language arts goes through is that, they're going to be introduced to things on day 1, and they're going to do their spelling, vocab, reading, grammar, and writing, and then some journal entries. So it's a typical week that they're working through and progressing up until like their spelling tests and quizzes. All of the courses begin with objectives listed at the beginning. So the student is aware of what they're going to be learning today. And we even have like learning coach tools, which I'll talk about the learning coach here in a minute, but tools that they can access in the courses too as they're working through with their students. We do have a workbook. So there's activities when we go into the course that you'll see that they'll open up worksheet pages for the students to work with. And then the school provides the workbook that you can open up when you get to that and do these offline activities, because we really want to give students a chance to manipulate with pen and pencil, you know, move away from that computer. We do have materials, so students will be doing projects, you know, especially in science and social studies. And the school district is providing those materials kits to you guys, so you have everything you need, which is great. We'll have an independent reading program. We want your students reading. Our teachers will help your kids choose just right books so that they'll be doing independent reading through the week and then filling out a reading guide. And then while working with our teachers, they'll also have a RADS Kids account. So that helps the students with their reading supports as they move through. So that learning coach, when we say learning coach, what we're talking about is the person that's with the student. So at the elementary level, it's important that the student has somebody at home working with them. You know, they're just learning to read and write, especially in that K-3 level. They really need somebody with them to guide them through learning the computer, how to use it, how to navigate what they're reading, what they're learning. So we call that a learning coach, and that can be a parent, a family member, or another adult that's home with the student. And these are all the things that we recommend, you know, that they're helping the student with. And we have a lot of supports built in to help that learning coach support that student. So earlier I said, you know, it's built into the course, and I'll show you that when we jump in and look at that. But we have some supports built into the course, but then we also have a learning coach support site that we've built out. And I'll show you what that looks like. But there's a lot of materials on there, videos to help you get started and setting up a great workspace when working with students. There's module specific course guides. So it'll help you help your student work through the lesson as they move through the content. And as they get into the content and they're working through, you'll see user-friendly, fun pages that the students are working on. There's interactivity that they're clicking. They're doing assessment type, checking answers. So fun type games that they're doing. So we're really doing a whole bunch of different things instead of just sitting in front of the screen reading. We do have screen readers in, and I'll show you there's a support that will read every course and content that we have, but in our ELA K3, we also have human voice recorders in. So not just that computer voice, but the human voice. So the student can really hear the intonations and reflections as they're learning to read. Again, meaningful interactivity that they're doing. They'll play some games as they're doing like their spelling words and matching and different sounds that they're hearing. And so again, making those interactivity. And we also do those offline assignments that I was talking about, you know, to give them a break from the screen time. There's instructional videos that they'll watch. So they'll be seeing some that are animated and done, and then some that are like whiteboard teacher created that as they move through and learn. So I'm going to take you in. That was a little bit overview of everything. So I wanted to take you in. All right. So this is if I say Buzz platform or things like that, that is Buzz is the term of what we use for our learning management system. So that's where all of our courses are hosted, and the system that we use for our content delivery. So this is what that looks like. You know, when your students click their course from that Genius page that Erin was showing, they come in and this would be your home page. So you'd see the courses that the students enrolled in and a quick snapshot of how they're doing, so they can see current grade in their course, progress, where they're at in the course. This will open up the course for their activities. They can check in on their grades for the course, which I'll pop into. There's also, if there's any announcements, so our teachers, the district, could post announcements for the student, that would be available here. You'd see numbers if there's some that they have unread. There's a to-do list. So this will keep your student on track. So you can see for the day what they have to do. If they're behind, so the student is behind, they should have had this turned in by last Friday. But you can see what's coming up to help keep your students on pace and on track. Activity stream will just show you when teachers grade items for students or post announcements, that would all get listed in your activity stream. But to pop into a course, you just can click on it, or you can click on that play button, and that'll open up the content. So here's the modules that I was talking about. You can see this is a semester B course, so that's why it's 19 to 36. So this will be for the second half of the year. All of our courses start with this resources folder. So this is like a how-to at the beginning of all of your courses that you can always reference back to. And go through and review. It's going to be slow for me tonight. But it'll open up and it'll have us how to do things. There it comes. So you can see your role as the learning coach. Go to the table of contents. It'll work through like a typical daily structure of your course, how to design a great workspace, how to log in, how to view announcements, how to record audio, because our students are going to be talking and recording audio for students. Submitting assignments, checking progress, technical requirements, how to get assistance, and some tips on like typical technical issues like clearing your cache. So that's very important information at your fingertips for each of your courses. So you work through that, and then there's a student getting started that has some of the same information and what they're going to be learning in the course, practicing their audio, doing a little about me to the teacher so the teacher knows how to get in contact with you, and a little bit about you, what our independent reading program is, and a reading level assessment that you'll do with your teacher. So like once you get through that, then you can see like the green check marks. This student has completed all of these assignments. They've completed all of module 1. So they can come in and pick up right where they left off, and they can also just access it up here. So this is what's up next. I click on that, and that's where I left off for the day. But typical lesson, just to pop in and show you. So it's an introduction. This is that reader that I was telling you about.
Introduction. What are we learning about today?
So that'll go through. You can listen to those. Our pictures are clickable. So we're learning about, these animals and what they're doing in this lesson. You can listen to it.
Zookeepers care for animals like tigers and zebras.
The student goes through. We also have these support tools up here in the top. So that's a computer screen reader, typical. So in the other courses where there's not the person reading the course, but you still want to hear it, you can highlight it.
Audio button. Some people work with animals. Click on each picture to find out what these people
So you can
do.
listen to that, and there's some settings that you can change. So if you want the voice to be slow or fast, you can change that, how it's highlighting. If you need translation into a different language, we can do translations as well. There's a dictionary. So if you're not sure what an animal or what a word means, you can get that definition, or you can get a picture definition. There's a lot of great support tools that students can use. Screen masking. So if you only want to look at a specific portion of your screen as you move through, you find that easier to concentrate, you can do that as well. So as you move through, like then we'll go into phonics. Again, we're interacting with the content. These are words that we're going to be practicing, practice questions that the student can do. Here's a game that the students can play for learning their spelling words for the week. And then we keep these characters too in the ELA courses. So the student will always see like the snake when they're in the spelling words, and there's a, panda, and as these different characters that they keep as they move through their courses. Vocabulary, so they can hear the words.
Filthy.
They can see the words. And then they're going to be reading. So here's like a book that they're going to be reading that's embedded. You can read with the student, and there's also an audio. So if they want to listen to the book as they read along, they can listen to. And there's also a PDF version too, so you can download it and print it out if you'd like. So here's a example video that they're going over pronouns.
What is a pronoun? A pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun.
So there's, again, videos that the student can watch. There's transcripts for the videos, so you always have that read. And then when you see these buttons like download activity, that's those workbook pages that I was referencing. So they can open that up. So now it's time to do this workbook page. So then they can open up their workbooks and they can write right into their workbook instead of having to like print this page out. So that's very nice that the workbooks are provided. And then again, another workbook. So this is, they're working on their writing, and they're going to start writing, and they're going to do a graphic organizer on topics for their writing for the week. That's typically moving through the lesson. The students are completing those activities. And then when they get to the end, they mark activity complete, and they can move on to the next lesson. And then there's some quizzes built in, and then typically as they work through the week, then they'll submit their weekly work at the end of the week. So all of those like workbook pages, I'm not going to be able to access that because you can't work ahead. You have to go in order of the lessons. But let me back up. Like a typical weekly work. So I did these workbook pages throughout the week, and it'll link for what they are. So you can have all of those, and then you'll submit those to your teachers, and you can just take a picture of them, or you can like scan them and upload them. So whichever is easiest for you, but they make a, they made it a lot easier this year when you can just hold your workbook up to your camera and your computer and take a picture and upload it right to your teachers. And then sometimes you'll have a spelling test that you'll meet with your teacher synchronously, and she'll give you that spelling test. They'll do benchmark assessments every like 6 lessons with the student. So a couple of times a year, they'll meet with your student one-on-one to make sure that they're progressing and learning what they're supposed to be learning and keeping on track for students. Other things that you have access to, your grades. So you always have access to your grades. This is everything that's graded in this course, and you can see the grades that you get on each assignment. If you submitted an assignment, it will look like this. You're waiting for that to be graded. The teachers can leave feedback on assignments. So anything, students doesn't have any feedback, but if you did, you can open that up. The teacher feedback would be listed here. The parents and students can see the questions and what they got right and things that they got wrong. So you have full visibility into your student learning and down into the activity. So this tracks your students' activities. So you can see what they've spent online, how long they've spent online, how long they've spent in the lessons. It's very transparent for a parent to pop in and see how their students are doing. There's, again, notes if you want to take any notes in the courses, communications or those announcements, and even a calendar. So that'll again track those assignment due dates. And that's based on the school put in a start and end date for your course, and then the system automatically generates those due dates to keep you on track in your coursework. Let me pop back to this PowerPoint. I just wanted to show you a little bit about, our parents do have a role in the system. We call that the observer role. When you pop in, you see exactly what your student sees. So you can log in and click on your student. And if you have more than one, see all of your students listed. And then you can click on them and you would see exactly what I just showed you. So it would be like you're looking into their world. You would see their information. You could view all of their coursework and content. And then also you can get a weekly progress report. So that would email out to you every Sunday night, and it would show you how your student's doing in the course, their current grade, how they're doing in pacing, and give you a snapshot of what they're learning. And that is a quick overview of the courses. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to take those now, I think, Christine. But thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Yes, if anybody has questions for Jamie, Aaron from Keola, or any of the district staff, where we can take questions now. And if you do, you can raise your hand. Well, it doesn't look like anybody has any questions. It is a beautiful night here, so I'm sure people want to get outside and enjoy this nice weather while we can. I will send a follow-up email just with some additional information about our program, a recording of this if you want to rewatch it. And I appreciate everybody coming and presenting, and everyone who came to learn more about our program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.